All right, so I guess apparently we have some friends in the house. We have some wasps. Oh, there's 3 of them.
There's another one over there.
Yo! Yes, we did almost die from a wasp attack. My wife was filming and it was mayhem. Kinda. In today's video, we're gonna cover everything you need to know to get started in real estate photography, from camera to lens and settings, to a real world property shoot where we break down all the necessary shots you need to create a complete and comprehensive photo set that any real estate agent would be happy with. We're also going to be testing out an online photo service known as Pixlmob that I've been hearing a lot about and sharing their final results to see just how good they are. So let's go. So first things first, what camera do you need for real estate photography? Well, thankfully, the bar for entry into getting into real estate photography is quite low. There are just 2 specs that your camera needs to have. It needs to be able to have an interchangeable lens, meaning you can swap out the lens to one that suits your needs. And secondly, it needs to be able to shoot brackets. When you set your camera to shooting brackets, it will be taking the same shot multiple times at different exposures and then blending those bracketed shots together in post to get a high dynamic range or HDR image. If the camera you currently have has both of those specs, then all you need is a lens to go along with it. When it comes to real estate, wide angle lenses are a must. Somewhere around 15 millimeters on a full frame camera is pretty much the standard. I personally like shooting a little tighter focal length because it feels a little more true to life. So I like to use a zoom lens. The one I'm currently using is a 16 to 35, and I find that it fits for 99% of the shots that I like to get. If you are shooting on a crop sensor or APS-C sensor camera, that crops in on your focal length. So make sure to check the sensor size of the camera that you currently have. And the only one caveat I would say to all of this is video. If you plan on expanding into video at any point, and I highly recommend that you do, then the low-end cameras are going to impede your ability to put out high quality content. If you're interested in hearing my recommendations for cameras for video content, be sure to comment below and I might make a video about that. 2 more quick items of note. You do need a tripod for camera stability. Many tripods will come with a ball head, but if you can swing it, getting a geared head will save you an enormous amount of time in setting up your shots. A gear head allows you to make small adjustments to line up your shot perfectly. If you are on a budget, this isn't totally necessary, but it saves you a ton of time, and it's something to think about, as this will be something you're gonna want to invest in at some point. All right, so I actually haven't been to this property yet. I actually shoot by square footage, and there's kind of 2 ways to shoot, either by square footage or by photo quantity. A lot of people would shoot, you know, like 25 photos or 36 photos or things like that. I prefer to shoot by square footage just because I feel like, you know, if somebody has like a 5,000 square foot property and they order like a 25 photo package, you're never gonna do that property justice by shooting just 25 photos. I'll just go into the house and we'll shoot everything that I feel the house needs. So the first thing that I do whenever I get to a property shoot is I take probably 10 minutes. You know, most of the time I'll spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes prepping just to make sure everything looks like it should. All the lights are on and stuff like that, just to make sure we're all set. I like to get all the rooms completely squared away. That way, all the prep work is out of the way. I don't have to think about that anymore. I can just think about just the shots that I want to get. So let's do that now. I'm gonna get all the lights on, get rid of small things like that. Some things right here. There's a big wasp right there. So my wife is actually filming. This is interesting. She's not very happy right now, so we're gonna see how this goes. We were gonna leave, but we're gonna try. I'm gonna undo this. I shot a job before one time where these were left up and the agent was not happy about that. So now I take them down. Let's walk through the rest of the house and see if there's any more surprises. You always wanna make sure that if you're shooting toilet seats, always wanna make sure that they're put down. Toilet seats are like the #1 dead giveaway of a new photographer or somebody who doesn't know how to take real estate photos. No wasps in here, so, okay. Open up these. This doesn't seem like it serves any purpose, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hide this. You don't wanna have any fans going because they'll just look blurry in the photos. So this house is pretty straightforward. It's just like 3 bedrooms, couple of baths, dining room, living room. It should be pretty quick shoot. So to be as cautious as possible, I didn't have my wife film the entire shoot, just the prep. And I'm gonna run through all the raw files and talk about how I came to the collection of shots that I got, and also what my camera settings were. For real estate, I usually shoot in aperture priority at f9 with my ISO somewhere around 800. My camera will then choose the proper shutter speed for a good exposure. I do shoot bracketed photos with 5 brackets at 2 stops apart. This allows me to get the most dynamic range from my camera for blending in post. So here is our shots, and you can see if I go all the way across here, you can see all my different brackets. Usually in your larger spaces, like your living room, the bigger open spaces, and then also kitchens. Even if they're small, you definitely want to get more than one photo. This is considered like a 1-point perspective where you're facing dead on to a wall. So this shows, you know, some of this space here. You can see on the left is the kitchen, and on the right, you can tell there's a window there, so you can see a little bit about this space. And then the next shot, I went in that corner, the far right corner, and now, you know, we're seeing more space. You want to sort of show connection to things sometimes as much as you can. So let's say this shot, you know, again, you can tell from the previous shot that the kitchen is over here. So now the viewer, if they look at these in succession, they can see, oh, okay, he moved over to the right, and now we can see this is most likely the front door. You can see like a peephole right there, so probably the front door. And then I went to the opposite corner, and in this shot, same thing. We can see the other side of the wall now, and then we can also see sort of into this hallway, and we can see a sliver of the bathroom. And then I took one last shot. Probably could have done without this, but you know, it's actually not too bad because you can see the living room space as it relates to the backyard. And so then into the kitchen, I do like to do an angle shot in. With kitchens, a good rule of thumb is to bring your camera height up enough so that you don't see the bottom side, the underside of the cabinets, because that's usually not the most attractive thing to look at, especially if they're not finished. There's usually like screws and things like that. You can see like how, you know, things are put together. You know, if there was furniture in this room, that might dictate some of how we place the camera, you know, so you might place it a little higher if there's a couch that you have to go above to see the rest of the room. Or if you have a huge room, then you might want to raise it even a little bit higher so that you can see beyond into the room farther away. So I got one shot of the kitchen, and then a second shot of the kitchen. So this was obviously like this shot. Now you can see like, you know, this area, and you can see the front. And then I got a third shot going in the opposite direction. And then I got a fourth shot looking back into the living room. I mean, it's a small kitchen, and I got 4 shots out of it, and I think this pretty much tells the entire story. And that's what you want to do, is you want to tell the entire story of the space that you're shooting. So this shot's a little bit weird, and the reason I say that it's weird is because you can't really see the sink. So this is a little bit of an oddball scenario. I don't really feel comfortable delivering just this photo and not showing the sink. Maybe it would have been okay. Maybe the client wouldn't have been, you know, upset or anything like that. But I feel like just to be on the safe side, I wanted to get a second shot facing the other direction, just to have it. Again, it's better to take it and not need it than to need it and not have taken it. So this is one of the bedrooms. Another rule of thumb, this is sort of like a thing that it's kind of known in real estate photography. There is some debate about this too, what is showing 3 walls. So I actually have a tendency to show 4 sides to the wall. But some people debate about even showing 3 walls. They think it's kind of silly to do that, but it does show dimensionality. So I do think it's a good thing. Some people will like shoot and they'll cut it off here, and then they'll cut it off over here, and then you just see these 2 walls. But it's hard for me to tell how big this room is or how it is in relation to the rest of the room. It's just 2 walls, and yeah, it's okay. I don't think anyone's gonna complain probably about this. I just feel like this actually shows a little bit more, it gives you a little more perspective. And I actually include the 4th wall. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then I include this little sliver right here. I don't know that there's a lot of other people that do that. You know, I just like include that because it helps me with my framing. Like I can make sure my shot is straight by doing that, by framing it in that way. If we didn't want to keep it, we could just crop it right there. But I think it kind of frames things in nicely, you know. Another thing to keep in mind is your verticals. I did not even talk about that yet. So you want to make sure your verticals are straight. And good thing I'm bringing it up in this shot because I did a horrible job at doing that. There's a lot of bowing going on here, lens distortion, but that can be corrected in post. It just has to do with my particular lens. If you're doing a 1-point perspective, your horizontals should be straight and your verticals should be straight. But almost always, your verticals should be straight for the majority of your shots. Even though I was off in this shot, this is something that can be corrected in post. I mean, my line's fairly straight here. Perspective correction, you can go a long way with that. So this is the secondary bathroom. This is the first bedroom, another bedroom, and that's actually it for the interior of the house. Let's say you had a bedroom that had an ensuite bathroom, meaning it had a bathroom that was attached. You definitely would want to get a second shot. So this shot is from the doorway going into the bedroom. But let's say you had a bathroom right here, you would definitely want to get another shot standing over here or standing over here, facing back this way. And then now they can see the reveal of the ensuite bathroom. Then in the front yard, I got 2 shots. I got one, this is usually a main shot that people will use for their listings. This is basically a 1-point perspective shot. So the front shot, straight on to the house. I honestly kind of feel like this is a better shot. It shows more perspective of the house. Like you can't even see there's a garage in this one. So I don't know which one the client would end up using, but if it were me, I'm not a realtor, but if I were, I would use this one instead. I feel like it shows better. But anyway, these are the 2 shots that I got. And this is all I felt was really necessary to capture this space. Had this been a bigger house and a more grand house, maybe it would have had a fantastic like entryway. I probably would have gotten a shot closer up, like maybe standing around here, pointing straight toward the door. Maybe if there was a sitting area or something like that, you want to get something a little bit closer so that the prospect can see what's there. And so that's it for what I captured in terms of shots. Grand finale, it's time to take a look at the photos from Pixlmob. The cost was $12.30 for a set of 19 edits, which comes out to about 65 cents per image. And I'm just gonna give my honest feedback as to what I think and how well they did. And we'll go from there. All right, so here we are. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on full screen. Here's my first shots. So I'm gonna be honest, they look pretty good. I don't know that the colors are like dead on, but the edits are pretty clean. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. The colors seem like slightly more yellow-ish than it did look like in real life. So like over here, it's a little more yellow than it is over here. Also looks a little more yellow on the countertop, like here versus say here. Same thing over here. I feel like this is a little more yellow than it was in real life. I don't know, this might be something that a client might complain about. This feels like a little dingy to me. So the problem with this shot was that there was no lighting, you know, in this shower. And so a lot of times editors will sort of use a cookie cutter blend. You know, they'll just use like an action inside of Lightroom or Photoshop. This could easily be remedied. You could, you know, take this into Lightroom and like just bump up the exposure just so it doesn't look so, you know, kind of gritty down here, just to kind of lighten things up just a little bit. Looks good. That looks good. Pretty sharp. Yeah, again, some kind of color cast issues. I feel like it's not bad. You know, I've had edits before where, you know, light fixtures were just like freaking glowing because the editor didn't know how to edit the lower exposure of the light fixture into the shot. So this is cleaner. It doesn't have like any haloing or things like that. So it's not too bad. Front of the house. So they did a sky replacement, which is pretty good. They did a good job on that. And the exposure looks pretty good. The only thing I would, you know, change about this, I think, is like just do some cleanup work. But all in all, I think these are not bad. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And be sure to check out one of these 2 videos around here somewhere that we're going to be posting. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.